Michael Parkhurst joining us this morning. Cap, what is the word?
Good morning, John. The word is good. It's a
Okay.
Friday. It's beautiful weather here, and I'm playing golf. So
Okay.
Greg caught me by surprise, so I only got about 15 minutes with you, John.
Oh, it's all good. No, if you're playing golf, then that's good. Because I was going to say, is grease the word? Because it's got groove, it's got feeling, and so I
don't think the Greeks have slept yet from last night.
No. All right. So we were getting into that discussion in the first half hour of the show. And when it comes to national team duty in Greece and when you're in a moment like that where you end up with a big upset after going through what they're going through with the loss of a teammate in George Baldock, how do you navigate something like that where your heart is heavy and your mind is elsewhere? It's got to be one of the most difficult things you could ever face as an athlete. As someone obviously who's never done anything like that, how difficult is it to manage emotions and put things to the side and at the same time try to use it as a motivator? That's got to be one of the most difficult things, going through a difficult time and still having to do your job. That's got to be just one of the most difficult things that you could ever face.
For sure. Absolutely. I had a teammate in Denmark get struck by lightning at a reserve game, and he was close to death for a couple of weeks, and he ended up pulling through and doing okay. But yeah, it's really challenging. But it's an extreme example. But one of the things we talk about is being able to put everything else aside and focus solely on the game and what's going on, right? And kind of that being able to compartmentalize and ignore everything else for the time being. And I think that's what you try and do, right? And also I think it gives you a little bit of motivation because like how lucky you are to be able to play the sport and do your thing, and how all the guys that are in the same situation would want to do that. And so you kind of play for that person a little bit as well. It gives you a little bit of extra motivation for sure, which I think it did for Greece yesterday. So that's the way you got to tackle it a little bit. And but it's easier said than done for sure.
No doubt. And then you get to have the moment that they did yesterday, putting all of the emotion aside, when you can go into somebody else's barn and come out the other end with a massive upset that you can have all kinds of momentum carry with you. What is that like to be able to have the knowledge inside you that, even with everything going on around you, that you can compartmentalize, you can put something down, and then you can come out the other side with a large result that you don't know where it's going to carry you at the end of things, but you have it in you to get together to have a result like that.
Yeah, I think it's probably equal part joy and equal part relief after the game. Getting through that first game is always going to be the most difficult after an event like that. And, to see the team pull together and come through, because just as equally, what could have happened is they could have gone out there and lost 5-0. Mm-hmm. And everyone would have understood and said, hey, that's a tough spot. Obviously England's a far better team anyways, on paper, plus of what happened. And so, to come out there and have the performance that they did I'm sure they were relieved and excited, obviously, and thrilled in the locker room. Now it's like, okay, we're capable of doing this, right? And that motivation is super high. Can we do it again in a few days, or are we going to have a huge letdown?
When it comes to those kinds of moments that you have when you get to come out the other side in something like that, I mean, it's got to be a great lesson on a bunch of different fronts. But on the same side for England, it's got to be a lesson at the same time where you have all of this firepower, all of this star power. And you could have 11 dudes out there who are great as their own dude in their system with their club. But sometimes the most difficult thing is to take all of that all of that greatness that's out there and put it together as a unit when it comes to, and because you've done this with national teams too, you know what it's all about. Having all of that experience and all these great things that you guys do separately, the difficulty of piecing it together and acting as one to try to come out the other side, that's got to be just as difficult.
For sure. And that's the importance of a great coach, right? These guys don't need to be taught anything per se, but how do you bring them together? How do you get the right guys on the field and playing together in one cohesive unit? And England have struggled with that for a long time. I mean, they've had some success under Southgate and obviously got close, but it's never going home. If there's
Not while I'm drinking.
I actually really like a lot of the guys on the English national team, but in general, I can't stand the English national team. And it's mostly because of the fans. Their fans are so obnoxious and think that they are by far the best and most superior and everything. And yet it's not coming home. And, you know, they just show time and time again why. So.
Oh, boy. Now that the United States has their new manager, that you're getting your first days of the Mauricio Pochettino end product coming up this weekend in this window. How, I don't know, I'm not going to say the word excited, but how are you gauging this first window? What are you looking for? What are you looking at anything? Or are you just sitting there going, yeah, okay, this is a first window. We'll see how it all lays out. It's friendlies. I just want to see like building blocks here. What are your expectations?
Yeah, I think that the thing I'm most curious about is more like what formation is he going to go out there with and what personnel, right? Who in the very beginning does he think he can get good results from? And like, is that the most athletic group? Is it the most experienced group? Is it the, you know, somewhere in between? Like, what is he basing it off of, right? He said previously that playing time is super important. So guys that aren't playing for the club team, are they not going to play, or are they still going to be involved, right? Like those types of things, rather than like, you know, oh shoot, do we dominate the game or whatever? Like, so those are the things that I'm curious about, because not that things can't be changed, but the guys that get first opportunities, it's theirs to lose. And just kind of how he views that and where his initial mind frame is, I think says a little bit.
How do you talk to your mentees about opportunity and taking advantage of it, but at the same time not, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. It's like, you know, you've got an opportunity in front of you, but you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to be too eager. You don't want to be somebody that you're not in trying to secure your place in a new situation. How do you talk to your mentees about the first day at school with the new teacher and making sure that you're not sucking up to the new teacher, but you're showing the new teacher what you can be?
Yeah, first impressions are important. There's no doubt about it, on and off the field. And so, you know, when we're talking about on the field, you know, you've earned an opportunity to not only be on the team, but if you're in the starting lineup, to be in the starting lineup, right? And that's based off of who you are and what you've done, right? So there's no need to be something that you're not. It's just go out there and prove that you are the player that you are and that you can do it, you know, on a consistent basis. So that would be how, you know, I would approach something like that within soccer. But yeah, no, there's no doubt about it. You can come back from a bad first impression, but it takes time. It does take time, and especially the type of coach. I mentor a college player right now, and he didn't have the great first impression. And his coach, and he's got a long battle ahead to try and turn things around, and he hasn't gotten the playing time that he wants because of it. And it's not a lost cause, but it takes time because his coach is like an old school type coach. So yeah, those first impressions are important.
What about 4 more minutes with Michael Parkhurst? I've set my clock to 4 minutes to get you to quarter till. Is it different with first impressions with old school coaches versus younger coaches in getting your feedback? It's like, yeah, the guy's like 117 years old and he's stuck in his ways versus, yeah, someone who's closer to us in our age group and and I can, feel like I can relate better to the younger coach. Do you have those kinds of differences when it comes to navigating this kind of thing too? Are those older coaches stuck in their ways, and is it a harder climb with an older coach than it is with a younger coach, I guess?
In general, more so, yes. I think. Like, it is tough, that balance, John, because that first impression is super important, yet you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself that you fail in those moments. Because I remember one of the first January camps with Klinsman, and a player had gotten his first opportunity with the national team, and he played in the game and he did not do well, and that was it. Like, never again. And so it's just one example, but it happens. And so if you're not ready for that opportunity, you might not get another. And that's just the reality of it, especially at the high level. Now, talking to youth players, it's obviously much different. But yeah, there's an importance there.
2-minute warning. 2 more questions. One, Atlanta United because next time I see you, I think Greg's going to owe you a week, so it might be after the end of the regular season. Atlanta United still in it. They put up a performance against Red Bulls, and now they got to take care of work.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like in one of these situations where you got to do what you got to do? You can't focus on everybody around you, but you're going to be scoreboard watching on decision day. The difficulties of compartmentalizing there in a situation where you just got to go out and do your thing and hope that things fall your way when it comes to something like what Atlanta United's going through.
Yeah, there's no doubt that you're going to be scoreboard watching. It's just natural and it's going to happen. But it doesn't matter if you don't win, right? It literally nothing matters unless you go out there and win. And so that's obviously the most important thing. You go out there and you win and you end the season on a high note with 2 straight wins. And will it be absolutely disappointing if they don't make it in? For sure. And it won't be good enough. But at the same time, that's all you can control right now. And we always talk about control what you can control what you can control. And that is your performance against Orlando and going out and getting 3 points. And everything else is going to happen the way it's meant to be. And hopefully that's in Atlanta's favor.
So sub question 1B, how much do you hate the purple team?
Honestly, there's a dislike, but they never beat me, John. So like, it's tough to hate somebody that you just dunked on for the most of your career, So I don't know. They're just like another team, but I get there's a rivalry, and it was fun to play against them in the rivalry, and then Joseph seeing him do his thing, and so. But for me, honestly, I probably dislike the Red Bulls more than Orlando because of the games that we had against them when I was playing.
Yes. Final question. Evan wants to know how Tidewater Landing is going.
Good. Yeah, it's coming along on target. We're looking at a April opening, so we'll start on the road for just a little bit. But yeah, everything's coming along well, and we've got like our 3D thing going on, and we're doing tours at the stadium, and so it's coming, and yeah, we're excited.
At MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app, at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, Beyond Goals Mentoring. Go play golf.
You're the man, John.
All right,
have a great weekend.
You too. That's Michael Parker.